Joburg Council Speaker Colleen Makhubele has been axed from COPE for launching the South African Rainbow Alliance ahead of next year's elections, apparently without the party's consent. As you may have already seen in Johannesburg this week, the streets are already plastered with SARA posters. Today, Makhubele broke her silence, held SARA's first briefing, where she made her first official appearance as the president of this formation. SARA is a coalition of smaller political parties such as NFP, ICM, AARM and civil organizations, and apparently COPE, but not apparently COPE. This termination of Makhubele also ends her tenure as the Joburg Speaker, which means both the Speaker and the City Manager positions hang in the balance. Joining me now with an update from today's briefing, eNCA reporter Pule Letshwiti-Jones. Pule, thanks so much for joining us, and I'm relying on you for clarity. Let's start with Colleen Makhubele. She broke her silence today. We spoke to COPE earlier in this week, and they said we were never part of this formation. We did not okay this. She says differently.
Definitely. What she's basically saying is that it's quite surprising, as the COPE leader, Mosiwa Lekota, was part of the several meetings that are taking place. It seems as though they've been having these meetings for the past 2 weeks with other partners who are part of this alliance, including ICM's Joe Mojapelo, who's, by the way, a leader of the Super 7 in Ekurhuleni as well, which is a block of minority parties, and the former COO of the Ekurhuleni municipality. What we understand is that the alliance partners came together and they voted for their preferred president or the face of SARA. And it was then decided that Colleen Makhubele would be the one taking forward a step to lead this alliance. However, as far as we understand, Colleen says she was shocked that when they were waiting for COPE's leader, Mr. Lekota, to come back and brief them, she learned through the media that she was fired. And therefore, she was really quite stunned as to what was going on, because this is one person who had been part of these several meetings. You'd remember, COPE suggests that Colleen was not mandated to speak on behalf of COPE in terms of forging an alliance or a coalition bloc with SARA as well. And they regard it as really quite a conflict of interest and bringing the party into disrepute as well. And this is where we stand currently, where we see now Colleen saying really she does not care what happens. She will be going ahead with SARA. As far as we understand, the next partner that will be approaching is BOSA, of course, which is led by
World One South Africa.
Yes, Musi Maimane. They're looking at bringing them on board as well. It seems as though they will be speaking to other minority parties as well. They're quite confident, Sal, that they can contest the elections in 2024. Despite the time as well, the time frame is really quite tight right now until next year, and they're not waiting to contest the local government elections in the following election process campaign, but they want to start now with the national elections as well. They believe that after calculating all the numbers from the minority bloc, they can have someone in parliament.
All right, let's listen to what Colleen Makhubele had to say.
My coalition partners, and I sympathize with them, I know where they're coming from, but they have it wrong. I was terminated, I didn't leave. I was fired. We were sitting here waiting as presidents, waiting for President Lekota to come to a meeting on Monday, as we usually meet. We were all not aware. He told us he's not feeling well, he's got an agent meeting somewhere in Kempton Park. I get calls from reporters to say you are fired. I was not told, I was not consulted, I was never given an opportunity to even make my representation, because the journey that we took here was with President Lekota side by side from day one. Go to the videos. How he decided to go and hold a meeting. We had to stop our meeting on Monday and decide to call this press conference. All of us were sitting here waiting for him while he's firing me there.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting, but I suppose it will boil down to whether Mosiwa Lekota's signature is on these alliance documents or not. Surely someone would have had to sign off on the part of COPE. So I guess we'll wait to hear. But I want to speak to you now about the broader ramifications for the city of Johannesburg. Floyd Brink, the city manager, his position is in the balance. The courts ruled just, I think, last week that his position was actually illegal, but it has been kept as it is for now because he's launching a review of that.
Yes.
Colleen Makhubele is out as Speaker. And of course, Colleen Makhubele as COPE, part of this broader coalition within the city of Johannesburg, spearheaded by the ANC. So I know you've spoken to them today. How concerned are they about what's going on in the city? What are they saying to you?
Floyd Brink is quite confident that with some of the requirements he has pertaining to his qualifications, that he will emerge, that the council will support him and reinstate him back into his position. But for the position of the Speaker, there's a bit of a problem, because what happens now is that Mr. Brink has to call for council within the space of the next 12 days. Usually, if you look at the Municipal Structures Act, if a speaker resigns, then within 14 days you need to appoint someone for that position as well. But it all boils down to Cope. Cope would now have to fill in that vacant position, which Colleen was occupying in a capacity as a councillor. But now it goes back to the coalition, which is the EFF, the ANC, Cope, IEC, Al-Jamaa, ATM and other guys. They need to now decide who's going to be their preferred candidate to be the next speaker. Obviously, this candidate will then go against the preferred candidate from the multi-party charter, which is Action SA and the Democratic Alliance. From there onwards, what we know is that a special council sitting will be called by Brink. The speaker will then be nominated. The speaker will then have to call in a formal council sitting. They only have this month. This is the last month to have a council sitting. And as far as you understand, crucial items need to be passed in that council, which speaks to service delivery and budget issues, amongst other key appointees that have to head certain portfolios within the city.
So this could have a direct impact on the running of the city, but also, doesn't the IEC have to get involved in running an election for the speaker?
Well, they will get involved once we go through the process of ensuring that a speaker is elected through the counting of votes. And of course, today there's a meeting of the local government unity, which is the ANC and the EFF, who need to decide who will be their preferred candidate. Now, rumour is rife that the candidate could be coming from the AIC or Al-Jamaa. Some are saying the former mayor, Thapelo Ahmad, could be coming again as a speaker of Johannesburg. So we're waiting to see today from that outcome of the meeting who really will be the preferred candidate.
Fascinating, and I know we're going to listen to a clip from the ANC in just a moment, but it seems these smaller parties, could be holding some of the key positions in the city of Joburg. Let's listen to what the ANC has to say.
It then put the coalition that was intact, that was busy with accelerated service delivery to the residents of Johannesburg, into jeopardy. Because we believe that if the highest ranked member of council is affected, surely as the African National Congress or as the government of local unity, we could have been informed, and then we could have then been prepared for such developments. But nevertheless, we cannot anyways the ANC interfere with the internal processes of COPE. But what we will do today, in fact, there's a meeting of the GLU, or what we call the PMC. The Political Management Council of the GLU is meeting. Key amongst issues that are going to be discussed there is the matter that is affecting the Speaker of Council or the former Speaker of Council, Colleen Makhubele.
You can see that the ANC is really not happy because what's happened is a small party has put their coalition effectively into disarray, and we've seen ongoing instability within COPE. Speaking of COPE, have they responded to what Colleen Makhubele said today? I
think we should also look at that. The coalition in Joburg is not the only one affected. In Tshwane as well, one of the councillors from COPE was fired. He's one guy who was preferred by the ANC in Tshwane to run against Celia Brink for the mayoral position as well. So their coalition also has been affected. And by so doing, it means it puts the multi-party chart again in a position of advantage. But COPE has responded, Sal, and I just want us to look at this graphic when they were speaking to. I was speaking to one of their representatives, and basically what they're saying is that they're quite clear to say that they did not assign or mandate Colleen Makhubele to represent in that formation, apart from being a councillor in the Joburg Metro. In all councils, those serving there are placed by the party and not on their own accord. And that's according to COPE.
So they're sticking to their story that they never said she could go ahead and do this in any form or fashion. Very interesting times indeed. And I think we're going to keenly watch what happens in the city of Joburg, because while the ANC has, in that coalition, chosen smaller parties, I'm wondering if they think it's worth the risk this time around. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Thank you so much for that update. That, of course, is our reporter, Pule Letshwiti-Jones.